I sold my first account for $820,000. It was doing like $30K a month. The guy who bought the account literally did nothing. 4 years later, those books are still making the same amount of money. KDP is kind of a hybrid, right? Like, you're not just making money now, but it also produces cash flow. If you can find a topic that you are interested in, you're passionate in, that is also profitable, then that's amazing, right? That's like the best case scenario.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you see beginners make?
The biggest mistakes beginners make.
Today, I'm joined by Sean Dolwett, who has the biggest YouTube channel about KDP. Sean has been doing self-publishing on KDP for 9 years and has made over $1.7 million with self-publishing. He has also had over 2,000 people go through his course on self-publishing, and today I'm happy to sit here with him, have him share his journey with us, and some lessons on how people can get better results with KDP. Sean, big welcome.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah.
Good to finally meet you, the legend.
Yeah, it's great to be here. We met at the wedding here in Peru, and now we figured let's do an interview. So Sean, let's start at the beginning. How did you find KDP and how did you get started with KDP?
Yeah, so this was back in 2016. I was in Hawaii. I was working a full-time job, and I've always wanted to make money, like make a lot of money. I was into entrepreneurship. I was into passive income specifically. Like, I wanted to make passive income. And I tried so many different things. I tried MLM, affiliate marketing, even blogging and this and that. For 4 years, I've failed pretty much like every single one. I made like $100 in 4 years. And I kind of gave up for like a couple months. And I was just working a job at a hotel. But one day I came back. Randomly, I was brushing my teeth and then just got this idea of like, oh, I'm going to look up how to make money online. So I looked it up, found this video from this person talking about self-publishing Amazon KDP. And he said it's the easiest way to make money online for beginners. So I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I bought his course, published one book. I actually had to buy another course before I published my first book because the first one was like incomplete. But I published the first book, made $300 immediately, or the first month, right? And so I got lucky with, making money the first book, and it gave me a lot of confidence. So I reinvested all the money and also reinvested a lot of what I was making from my job because I was living very, very frugally at the time, saving some money from the job. So I kept reinvesting the money, kept reinvesting the time that I had into building the business. And yeah, over time, it built up to a decent level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one thing that we share is the belief that KDP is one of the best business models to get started with. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. It's been like 9 years since I started, right? Or since we started, because you started in 2016 too, or
Yeah, late 2015. Yeah.
late. Okay, so yeah, it's been 9-10 years, but I still do think KDP is one of the easiest business model. There's a lot of new business models that popped up since then, but I do think that KDP is still a really good place to be at. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I think listening to your journey, you went through many different business models before. You did a lot of different things before. And I think that experience is what helps us to realize that, yes, KDP has all these different advantages. And perhaps it's also a personality thing. I know you're big into investing. So if you approach it with an investor mindset, that is also a huge benefit.
Yeah, because KDP is kind of a hybrid, right? Like, you're not just making money now, but it also produces cash flow. Like, kind of jumping ahead over here, but I sold my first account for $820,000. It was doing like $30K a month average, I would say, profit, for the year. But it's been past like I think it's like 4 years, almost 4 years after I sold it. And it's crazy to me, checking the sales rank of those books. The guy who bought the account literally did nothing for 4 years. Like, I was curious, like, what he's gonna do. Like, is he gonna publish more books? Is he gonna run ads? Nothing. He just like bought it, did nothing. 4 years later, those books are still making the same amount of money. And so I basically, lost money by selling it. Now I know, but it just shows how passive it is, and this is my personal experience, but you hear that from so many other people. as well who leave KDP or sell their account, and years later they come back because they're like, oh my god, these books are still making money. It's crazy, right? So
Yeah, I think that's what most people miss when they want results too quickly. They don't see that, okay, you're sowing the seeds now, and those seeds might not be producing right now, but if you keep going, you keep publishing books, at a certain point, you're bound to have at least one book take off. And I think your account, perhaps you can share, was there 1 or 5 books? How many books were it that really took off?
yeah, the 80/20 rule definitely applies. Um, when I first got to 10K, that was more so from just like the volume approach, publishing a lot of books. I had one book. I was doing like 5K a month just from a couple hundred books, a couple $100 per book, kind of added up to 5K. But then one book that I published took off and did like 5K in a month. So that's how I went from like 5K to 10K. And then that book slowed down a little bit because I got bad reviews because back in the days, it wasn't about quality and stuff, right? Um, but then I kept publishing and, the more you publish, right? Like sometimes the book don't do as well and it only makes, let's say, $100 a month. It's still $100 a month that it's gonna make for a while. So like the baseline income kept stacking up to where 10K a month kind of became average. And then, I did that for a couple years. And then I had another jump. Basically, I was stuck at 10K per month because I was in this rat race of essentially publishing a new book. It makes money, but then my old books dies off because of bad reviews. Because again, we weren't focusing on quality back in the day. It wasn't what people were teaching, right? It was all about like shotgunning the next hot keyword. So when I kind of took a step back and I'm like, I'm going to focus on a high quality book, invested a little more time, a little more money, made it better, published it. Now that book took off, started making money, but it didn't die off. So that's when I went from like 10, 15K a month to I think I jumped to like 20, 25, kept going up to like, 40K one time. But the average again was like, I would say 30K profit. Yeah.
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 And you just had an interview with Gerald, and one thing you said there was when people were doing 10K word books, you had the courage to do a 30K book.
Yeah.
And I think that's also similar to my approach. Is we made the conclusion, okay, these books, they're getting bad reviews. It makes more sense to have books sell long term, and especially I know you built a brand as well.
Mm.
Can you talk a little bit about the importance of quality in terms of having a brand and just branding overall?
Yeah. So couple things that I've done that really worked was first, like I focused on quality. I did 30K word books. It was longer. It was a little scarier in the beginning because I had to invest more money, into it, more time. I was used to spending this much money per book, and now I had to like triple it, right? In terms of the ghostwriter cost because it was 3 times longer. But the second thing was once the first book took off, I'm like, how can I create a series of this? So I didn't publish the same exact books multiple times, but I'm like, all right, so they bought this book. So how can I create a book that's like similar to this first book? So people who buy one book might want to get this next one, right? And then when they buy the second one, they want to get the third one because it's related. It's learning about something in the same niche, So, and the third reason that I think the brand did really well is because I was my own customer in that niche. Like I used to read a lot of books growing up. I read a lot of like sci-fi books. I read a lot of personal growth, like business books, and pretty much like this niche was something I was interested in, and I knew that if I was a customer, I would want these topics covered, these problems to be solved. So I was able to kind of make sure that it's good. And then I think that really reflected in people liking the book and they like it. So they come back and buy my other books kind of thing.
This is really good. So we have
Yeah.
a few conclusions we can make just so far into the interview. We haven't even gotten started, but the first thing is the quality. So what can we do today to increase the quality so that in 5 years from now, we look back at the books we published today and they still stand strong? Because like Sean mentioned, he has sold his account and he looks back at the BSR and those books are still producing I think you said $40,000 a month was when you sold it, 30, 40. How much would you estimate it's making now? Brief shameless plug you don't want to miss. Have you ever wanted to meet other KDP self-publishers in one room, exchange ideas, and have a great time together? Then our 2-day Mastermind event in Las Vegas on October 25 and 26 is exactly what you're looking for. Uncover secret strategies in our speeches, get one-on-one advice from me and our team in workshop sessions, and exchange ideas with other publishers at your level and above. Click on the first link in the description to find out more.
So my guess, because I don't have the dashboard anymore, based on the BSR, it's around the same, right? So I would assume it's like, let's say he's running ads, which I don't see the ads being run. So if it's like, oh, profit, maybe closer to 30, even if he's running ads somewhere, is let's say 20, 25 a month, pretty solid. I could have retired if I didn't.
So,
Right.
so that proves the point in terms of the quality, nailing that, but also the branding that he had. He thought about building a series of books. That's also something that really makes sense, because now the success of one of his books is pushing through, so the other books get better sales rank and a better BSR. And I also know we messaged a bit back and forth. I think it was 3 years ago. You also built an email list. Am I right?
I built an email list, yeah.
Yeah.
So only for that brand, right? And that worked as well. The benefit of the email list, obviously, it's so much easier to sell your new book to the customer. It's going to take time to build, but it's so easy to get reviews as well. You literally just email them saying, hey, I got a new book coming up. Who wants to read it for free? All I ask is you leave a review on Amazon, right? And you get a bunch of reviews. Another hidden benefit nobody really talks about is that you increase the value of your business, because it's a legitimate asset having an email list. So when I sold my account, my valuation was better because I had an email list, I had a brand. I didn't just have a bunch of different random books. I had a brand, I had an email list, I got a Facebook group. The Facebook group was kind of a waste of time, but I had it. I had a blog as well, also a waste of time, don't do it, but I had it. It looked good in paper, right? So yeah, those are the hidden benefits to having an email list. So definitely helps.
Yeah. And one last thing you mentioned there was that you had an interest in the topic. And
Yeah.
I think that's a bigger benefit than most people realize, because when I look at certain publishers who are getting great results, that's a common pattern, that they are interested, they can see what makes quality in this niche. And I think that's a huge thing as well.
Yeah. It's not the advice that is being taught often. Like, I don't even teach this myself much. What I tell people is that if you can find a topic that you are interested in, you're passionate in, that it's also profitable, then that's amazing, right? That's like the best case scenario. But if you can only choose one, you should go into a topic that is profitable, even though you're not interested in it, compared to a topic that you're super interested, but nobody cares. Like, you're the only one that's interested. There's no demand. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to make money. But again, if you can find both, that's the best case. In my case, I found it, especially because I think social media marketing is exploding nowadays. And not compared to just running ads as the marketing method, now you are like showing up every day, posting videos, talking about the book, right? And if you're gonna get behind it, it's so much easier to get behind the book that you have if you're actually interested in the topic, passionate, you're confident in the product. And if you're interested in the topic, you don't have any problem like talking about the topic all day long, right, on the video. So I think that will be key too.
Something that people often ask is, or you see videos on this topic, is KDP dead or will it be dead soon? What are your thoughts?
So KDP has changed a lot, We've been doing it for 9 years. People were complaining that KDP is dead in 2016 when we started, right? Because KDP started in like 2012, 2013 or something like that. And everybody's like, oh, it's been 3 years since the business is out, it's dead, And then since 2016, when I started, every single year, people complain that KDP is dead. So it's been like year number 9 or year number 10 of people complaining at this point. And there's always two types of people, right? Like the type 1, they leave because they did believe that. They believe and the reason why people complain is because there's always changes. Like the royalty cuts of low content books that happened recently, the AI thing came up. There's a lot of things that happens over time, right? And every single time there are two types of people again. So type one, people are like, KDP is done because of this reason, and then they leave and do something else, right? Type two is people who adapt. They're like, okay, so this is a change. Now we cannot do this, or now we have to do this. How can we still make money from this? And what's interesting is when we started in 2016, like people who were making 10K per month were like KDP gods. It was insane. We hear people making 10K per month and we're like, oh my God, that's insane, making 10K per month. Now 10K per month is like kind of normal. So many people are doing it, and now we hear people doing like hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, like insane. Like Peter is the new KDP god over here, but just like crushing it, right? So like the ceiling has increased so much, and if KDP is dead, that wouldn't happen. Like there's no way more people are making money. So obviously the market is increasing. It's just that the business is changing and you got to adapt to the new way of doing things. And we can get into it later too, but I think the good news is I genuinely feel like the new way is a little simpler and cheaper to do than how it was a couple years back,
Yeah, definitely. And I wonder why KDP hasn't gotten the same traction, let's say, as social media marketing or whatnot. And I'm not complaining about that, but I'm thinking if it has something to do with that $10,000 a month on KDP, at least for me, that's different than making $10,000 a month from cold calling or from SMMA, because the $10,000 from KDP, you can maintain that much easier if you do quality, just
Yeah.
like we saw with Sean's example. What are your thoughts about that?
I agree. I don't know why it didn't take off. Our videos don't get a lot of views, but I guess it's good, right? For people who are doing it. Like with SMMA, when you're doing a service, for you to scale realistically, you got to hire a bunch of people to serve more clients. You scale by clients, right? And now you're managing a huge team, insane headache. Like anybody who experienced having a big team, it's just crazy. Like I have a team right now, and I'm lucky that I got an operator that replaced me, but that's hard, So it's most likely you're gonna be drowning in your business, you're gonna be hating your life trying to scale an agency. But you can talk to anyone who does an agency and they'll tell you the same thing. 99% chance they hate their life. And I'm not just projecting over here. Like I'm not just projecting this, it's facts, right? I got many agency friends, they all say the same thing. And also, you stop working. Let's say you're tired of the agency business model. You want to go on a vacation. You want to stop working, and not just an agency, any service-based business. You stop, you instantly stop getting paid, right? But with KDP, you can stop. You can literally take years off, and it's still gonna keep paying you month after month because it's digital products. There's no inventory. You're never gonna run out of the product. You don't have any clients. It's there on Amazon. Amazon's showing your books to people, biggest marketplace in the world, and it just keeps going. So that's with a service-based business. With a physical product-based business, same thing. Let's say you get tired of the business, you stop, you don't order more inventory. Once the inventory sells out, you're done, So KDP or digital products in general, but especially with KDP, because it's digital products on Amazon where there's existing traffic source, is the most passive thing ever. And yeah, I do think it's a much better business model compared to others, but yeah, it's interesting how it doesn't get any views.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to is KDP dead? I think you said what I've said many times in different words is if people are buying books still, then it makes sense that there will be people who publish those books who continue to make money. So all we need to do, like Sean mentioned, is adapt. There will be new changes, like you mentioned with the coloring books, the royalty, whether it's AI. And talking about changes, can we go into more specifics about how KDP has evolved since 2016?
Yeah. So as I said earlier, 2016 was all about shotgunning who can go into the new hot keywords faster than everybody else, right? Who can find the new keywords. It was all about keyword research. And over time, that like it basically stopped, being effective. Like, yes, if you can find new niches, new keywords and jump into it first, amazing. But it eventually people are gonna find out those keywords. So if you just because you're the first in the keyword doesn't matter much if your book sucks, if it's bad, because you can be the first. Yes, you're gonna make money, but then somebody else will come in with a better product, kick you out, and you're done. So essentially, you don't have to be the first in the keyword. You just have to be the best. Because if you're the best, if you're the first in the keyword, yes, like other people can come in, you can still win because you're the best, right? But even if you come into a keyword or a niche after everyone else, if you become the best, the customers will come to you, right? So again, like going back to everything being about quality, you beat people by quality. And of course, if you can combine, like that's the fundamental of everything is having an amazing book and doing that. But then if you can combine that with, of course, being first to the market, having a great email list and marketing strategy, if you can do all the other stuff, that's amazing. But the fundamental is creating good books.
I think that's a great point. So instead of having this rush to pump out books, it's more so, okay, how can we think that the books we publish are either better than the current books already on the market, or how can we offer something unique to the marketplace?
Mm.
Now, in terms of the budget for creating a book, would you say that has also evolved? Is it higher now to create a book? And now we're throwing in AI in the mix as well.
Yeah. So something interesting is happening, right? Where usually things only becomes more expensive over time. Inflation, like it's part of life. It's not just in KDP, it's in any business. Things becomes more expensive. If you do an agency, you're running Facebook ads, it becomes more expensive. You know what I mean? So like it's everywhere. But that was the case with KDP too, where for us to create books, we're using ghostwriters. If you can write books yourself, amazing. You have a superpower. But for us, like we're using ghostwriters. And the cost to hire ghostwriters were kind of going up because inflation, right? Um, and what happened is thanks to AI coming in, it became way cheaper now because like even the ghostwriting company that I mainly use, I think you use the same one, but or maybe you have your own ghostwriter, but this ghostwriting company that we mainly use um came up with this AI writing package where the ghostwriter is like using AI but also kind of tweaking it later, which is like kind of what you want to do. And it's half the price of like if you don't use AI and like what they used to charge. So now it's interesting where even if you do use Ghostwriter, you're doing the same thing, it's cheaper. Or if you just like write the book yourself completely with AI, significantly cheaper, right? So yeah, I mean, haven't seen this anywhere, but it's happening.
And speaking of AI, what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I think AI is amazing. Um, when I talk about AI, a lot of people hate on me because they think we're just like pumping out AI crap, right? But if you just copy paste from AI, put it into a book, publish it, yes, it's 100% going to be crap. But that's not what we're doing, right? Like we're working with AI, we're doing a lot of back and forth. We get, the output from AI, but we have to check. We got to fact check, we have to check the quality, check the writing, and then we have to most likely do a lot of revision to make sure that it's good. And this process is no different than if you're just writing it from scratch. You got your first draft, you got your second draft, you're going back and forth, make sure that it's good, right? So if the end product is high quality, if the final draft is high quality, which is what we're doing, then I see no difference between human written, AI, assisted, or if you're using Ghostwriter, it's all the same thing. The main thing is that the book is actually good. It's helping people, right? Because that's what Amazon want to show too. And Amazon doesn't like personally, I don't talk to them or anything, but I do strongly believe that Amazon don't care if the product is AI generated, ghost written, self-written, doesn't matter. As long as that's helping, like serving the customer, giving value to the customer, and the customers aren't instantly reporting the product to Amazon after they buy it and complaining it, as long as they're not doing that, it doesn't matter, right? Like how it's made, as long as it's good. So that's my stance on it.
Yeah, I think that's very logical.
Yeah.
In terms of why KDP would want you to disclose whether it's AI or not, my thought has been, okay, we want to see if you're using AI, and perhaps my theory has been that if they see certain books that get a lot of complaints and everything is all AI, then they might be a little bit harsher on that account. But just like you mentioned, Sean, if the output is better with using AI assisted books or making use of AI when creating the books, then I don't see why Amazon would have an issue with AI.
Yeah, I agree. I think the whole survey thing makes sense too. Like they probably did the survey thing to check, oh, is the AI written books getting more complaints versus like the non-written books? It's been what, like over a year since they started doing that, and so far no issues with using AI books. I'm pretty sure it's fine, but who knows what's going to happen. But at the same time, I know that Amazon's investing heavily in AI themselves. So logically thinking, I wouldn't understand if they say no to AI. It wouldn't make sense.
No. Maybe they're collecting all this data and then they will create a superior AI and they will just remove the self-publishing option and
Yeah. They're going to be like, oh, we just make our books ourselves, or the customers can make books themselves.
yeah.
Yeah, could happen. I think even with that, again, there's always a way for us to pivot and make money, right? That's how I feel.
Definitely. Let's transition a bit. You started a YouTube channel. I think you started it in 2018. Am I right?
I think it was like 2019, 2020, a little later. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching your first videos. It's been great following along the journey. Can you tell us why you started the YouTube channel and how was the transition into teaching others?
Yeah. We actually have a funny common thing going on, and is that we got scammed by the same dude for like 25K. But so we hired, I don't know if you want to share this story, but like,
Maybe not with names, but
okay, yeah. So we're not gonna name names, but essentially we got scammed by the same guy, complete fake guru. But I paid this guy to learn affiliate marketing, and he encouraged me to do YouTube. His advices were all BS, but because I paid him and he was telling me to do YouTube, I'm like, all right, well, I paid the guy, right? So I have to, I gotta follow it. So I was extremely hesitant to do YouTube. I'm super shy. And yeah, I had massive imposter syndrome. I wasn't confident in myself that, oh, I can teach people this and that. But I did it. I started publishing videos, right? And, you know, slowly gaining subscribers to where I think eventually I got comfortable being on camera. But that's how I got started, is I was kind of forced into it, and it turns out, or it turned out to be a good thing, because the channel, blew up, which is amazing. Um, but yeah, like that's the reason I got started. And then after, like, for the first 2 years, I was actually not making much money from YouTube. My AdSense was like $1,000 a month. Um, Affiliate commission was 1,000 a month or something, So I was making like 1,500, 2K a month, while KDP is doing, 6 figures a year, right? So, but then I'm like over here spending just as much time doing YouTube as KDP. And this is why I personally don't really recommend people juggle multiple businesses at the same time. It's not the best use of your time, because I feel like if I just stuck to KDP, I would have grown in way more like you. You stuck to KDP and then you took it way further, right? But yeah, essentially, I hit a point where my YouTube kind of exponentially started growing because of a couple viral videos, and then now it's doing very well.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the evolution, if you go back to your first video and you compare it to your videos today, that's you really see the growth. And I assume there's been a lot of personal growth as well in terms of starting a YouTube channel. So it's not
Yeah.
just been the monetary aspect, but also many other benefits.
Yeah, I would say the biggest benefit with YouTube is like what's happening here. You know what I mean? Like meeting you, meeting Gerald, um, everywhere. So I'm doing like the digital nomad thing, where I'm traveling to different countries every couple months, living there. Every single country that I live in, there's at least one person doing KDP. It's crazy. Like everywhere I go, there's at least one person doing KDP that watched my videos, that knows me. And I just like post on Instagram like my stories of where I'm at. And I get people messaging saying, "Hey, I'm also here. Like, let's meet up." So I never had issues with making friends at that location or like somebody showing me around, just hanging out. It's been super cool. And so that's the hidden benefit of putting yourself out there. The income part, right now, it's super good, right? I'm not gonna lie. It was slow in the beginning, but I do believe if you can stick to it, it can be good as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What are some patterns you see of your students, those who succeed versus those who fail?
So, um, bottom line is consistency, and if they can stick to the business model for a long time. I do think, yes, you can make money your first couple months in the business, but I think everyone should come in with the expectation that you should build this business for at least a year. You should go all in for at least a year before you quit, before you decide it's not working for you. A lot of people, again, it could be from like clickbaity YouTube videos. I don't know if people blame me for this. I try not to clickbait and stuff, but um, the expectation people have is like they can come in and do 10K, 20K a month in month 2 or 3, and it's unrealistic, right? It's a slow build. I think KDP is a slower build up of your income, but then it's a way longer longevity. You know what I mean? Like with let's say you do like e-commerce, you can scale your business by jacking up Facebook ads or whatever ad platform you're using. So you can go from 0 to 100K a month to a million a month real quick by just like spending a lot, jacking up your ads. But then if you stop the business, again, it's back to 0 real quick because you run out of inventory. With KDP, you got to stack your books one at a time, over time. And maybe you're not going to shoot up to 10K or 100K quick, but I can almost guarantee that once you get there, it's like you coasting, real well, as I experienced with my first account as well. So I went way off, but yeah, that's the pattern is consistency, sticking to it, having the long-term mindset is for sure the biggest thing.
But I think that's a great point that you bring up. It is the expectation people have when they join and start KDP. Because if you want quick money, it's better to just get a job.
Yeah.
Why invest in KDP? If you need the money now, that's not the KDP is not for you. Because KDP is you're sowing the seeds, and then in a couple of years you will get a return on that. So the first 1 year, like Sean mentions, you just want to commit and publish books and stay in the game. And I would say for the first 2 years, I wouldn't care about the profit. It's more about growing the account. And because what many people don't realize is with KDP, you're building business value. Each book that creates revenue, it has value, just like we see with Sean's account. What did you sell the account for?
So I was listed for 1,000,000, like 90,000 or something.
Yep.
But then I couldn't get an offer for 1,000,000. And I also had a scarcity mindset of like, oh, you know, like if I don't get an offer, when's the next offer and stuff like that. So when someone offered me 820, simple cash deal, I took it. Kind of regret it, but so I sold it for 820. It was valued at 1,000,000.
Yeah. And I've said this to people, especially beginners. I've had some people say, should I buy an account? And my advice has been always, no, don't buy an account. But I did mention one person asked, yeah, if you have an account like Sean, if that person is selling, yeah, it would make sense to buy the account. But the problem I see with buying an account as a complete beginner is you might not see the things that an advanced publisher would see. For example, that there's an email list associated with it. You see the way the account has gotten the reviews. It's a safe account. You also see the keywords. It's not trademark. There are no copyright issues or anything that might make the account disappear. What are your thoughts about buying KDP accounts?
Yeah, I just had a friend, my coworker that worked at the hotel. He messaged me saying, "Should I buy a KDP account?" Yeah, And I told him the same thing, maybe not. He does have money, and there are cases where, like, the guy who bought my account, um, he got a pretty good ROI for sure, right? But in general, I do think it's better to build it up from scratch. You're gonna learn the skills. It's not gonna take too much time. KDP is a pretty simple business. It's getting simpler now, especially. But yeah, so I personally think it's better to go from scratch too.
Yeah, that makes sense. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see beginners make?
The biggest mistakes beginners make, there are many, but I think the biggest one is they go into a niche that is not profitable, right? So like you can do everything else correct. You can have the most amazing book cover title, the most amazing marketing, but if the topic is something nobody cares about, no one's going to buy the book on it. And so a lot of times, I'm sure you experience the same thing, like students come into your program, right? And they tell you, I already have a book written, and now I want you to teach me how to market these books. And I take a look at the book, and it's just in this super random topic that doesn't even make sense. No one's interested in. I check the demand for the topic, and there's no book selling on it. There's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do. No matter how good the marketing is, um, how we improve the book title, like it's done. So that's the main thing. Is first you got to check if the demand is there for the topic, which is as simple as checking on Amazon if there are other books on the topic selling. If it's selling, it's telling you that you can make it sell too, right? You just got to figure out how they're doing it, and you do the same thing. So that's the big. I mean, there are a couple other major ones too, but that's the main one.
I think that's an excellent point. Is that people don't see the connection between the books and the marketing? Is that it doesn't matter if you push books. I'm sure Gerald can agree on this as well. Is it doesn't matter if you have a bad book, whether it's the niche, whether it's the cover, the title, the positioning. Just throwing money on ads or trying to do some special description or social media marketing, it's a waste of time. It's better to do it right from the start.
Yeah, nothing's gonna work. I do want to say that the craziest thing about Amazon being the biggest marketplace is that the crappiest book still sells here and there. Like zero reviews, it's on page 50, and then somehow people find it and it like sells, and you still make money, which is like insane how big Amazon is. But like the biggest example is like, people who are watching this video themselves, they're not gonna watch a random video that is recommended to me that's like completely off of what they're usually interested in, right? So like if I go and start talking about like my fashion or super random like my garden, and I'm like, this is what I'm passionate in, so people should watch it. Just like how people, write a book on whatever random thing and they're like, this is what I like, so people should buy it. It's not about what you want to talk about, or it's not about what you like. It's about what people want to pay for. If you want to make money, if you're doing this as a hobby, doesn't matter. You do whatever you want. But if you want to make money, you got to give people what they would pay for. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah, it's a harsh reality. I imagine many of the students coming in, they've spent hundreds of hours, perhaps $1,000 plus creating the book. But if you're willing to face that reality, and maybe it requires going through and publishing that book and just seeing the reality for what it is, but it's a great lesson to learn. And I learned it the hard way through a web shop that I created. I didn't do any research on whether lanterns were a great thing to sell, but I learned the lesson through another business model. But if you need to learn it through KDP, then go ahead and publish the books. But you will most likely see what we're discussing here, that the books won't take off.
Lanterns.
Lanterns, yeah.
Lantern. Interesting.
Yeah.
So at least you tried, and then at least you learned from it, and then you kept going, right? Like most people are like, oh, KDP doesn't work because it didn't work, and that's not something you want to do.
Yeah, well, how would you say, because you have such a volume of students, do you find that many people are willing to admit the harsh realities, or do they just disappear after a failure?
Some do disappear. some do complain and ask for a refund. In that case, we give them. But um, most people, I would say, is good, right? Or are good because of the expectation that I set. I'm pretty no BS even in my own videos, and people mostly find me from the YouTube videos and come in. So I think most people understand that. But yeah, there's definitely a few people like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you were to start KDP from scratch today, what are the main things you would focus on?
Yeah, so I would focus on all the things that we talked about today. But, I would use AI to try to cut down costs as much as possible, but also not be afraid of outsourcing some parts. Like I'm never going to design book covers myself, even though there are AI book cover design, stuff out there. It's not perfect. And I think it's better just pay someone like 100, $200 to get a really good book cover because it's super important. I'll make sure that the demand of the topic is there. I'd rather go into a very profitable, high competition niche rather than a super small, no competition, but low profitability niche. The reason why a lot of people go into this, a lot of people, they're like, oh, everybody else is doing it, or there's competition. So I'm going to go into this super, super tiny niche and I will be happy by getting 100% of this $100 a month market share, instead of getting just like 10% of this, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month market share, maybe $1 million a month market share of this big niche, right? And you can carve out your niche. So that's what I would do is I would go into a high competition. I'm sorry, high profitability, hopefully low competition, but even if it's higher competition, I'd rather choose that niche. Um, Make a super good book that stands out. I will always make sure that I have some sort of unique proposition, unique angle to my book. I'm not gonna make something that's just like the rip off of what's selling. I'm gonna make sure I have better value, a new angle, something unique about it so that it stands out. Package the book super nicely with amazing book cover, amazing title, A plus content, those kind of things. Make sure I get reviews and then I'll go and market it, right? So once I do all those fundamentals, then the marketing becomes a lot easier and I will start marketing it and I'll probably use social media too. Like I'll do both ads, but also talk about it on social media.
That's an excellent point. So correct me if I'm wrong here, but you first look at the demand, and if it's low competition, that's not a factor that you necessarily need. Perhaps a better way to put it is manageable competition in the sense that you can have a unique angle or you can be better in certain ways. Is that in essence what you're saying here?
Yeah, basically if you see space to compete, right? Like, you know, I wasn't the first KDP channel coming into YouTube, but I'm now the biggest one, right? Um, you came into YouTube later than me, but you carve out your niche, right? You have your space, and you're making money from it. So bottom line, you don't have to be the first. It's okay to have competition as long as you can step up and make something good for yourself and, have your portion of it. And the more you improve, the bigger market share you get, right? So yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah, excellent. What are some things that people get totally wrong still about KDP in 2025?
Mm. And the first thing that comes to my mind is people just saying, "Oh, this is a scam. Like AI books are crap." Like that's the comment that I get like almost every single day. Um, and yeah, again, it's like I don't have a AI book writing channel. That's not the channel you got. We're not specifically just telling people to write books with AI. It's just one method. You know what I mean? Like if you want to write the books yourself because you're an author, like you're a writer, amazing, right? Or if you want to use ghostwriter, that's fine too. But AI in itself is just a tool. It's one way of doing things. So it's not an automatic low quality junk. KDP is still alive, very, very strong, business model. So yeah, I guess that's what people get wrong. I mean, unless you can think of anything else.
And I can only imagine because of probably 30x the amount of views that I get on your YouTube channel. Maybe you can share how many views a month do you get?
I don't know the overall views. Um,
It's probably over
I can check right
300,000.
now.
Yeah, but let's check.
751.
Oof, 751. Okay, so 751,000 views a month. Driven publishers get around $27,000 views a month. And some of the comments I see on my most popular video is, okay, this is all AI books and those 1,500 books. And that's not true because those were published before AI. So many of them are translations. So it's just people making assumptions before even sometimes it don't even seem like they watched the video. Yeah, I can only imagine what you're experiencing there in terms of what people assume that it's incorrect.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. Just because we sell programs, coaching, automatically a scammer, automatically a fake guru, right? If we talk about AI, scam. If we talk about something else, scam. If I talk about I like drinking water, scam, right? So it's like, it's just people jump to conclusion, but at the same time, it's just like we're focusing on 1% of the comments, 99% is positive. But if you would put yourself out there, there's always going to be people like that hating on you.
And what piece of advice can you give? Perhaps there's a YouTuber, someone who has a personal brand. What advice can you give to those watching to overcome this?
I think you just have to learn to ignore it. It's the thing is you cannot change your content to adapt to those comments because when you change it, guarantee you're gonna get a different set of people complaining about the new content. So you're never gonna please everybody, right? Um, so there's really nothing you can do. You either quit so that you don't see those comments, or you ignore and keep making it. Understand that you're gonna get those comments. You can always hide comments on YouTube, but there's new ones popping up. And bottom line, you understand that 1% of the people will always hate. Focus on the 99%. Same as books, right? Like, there's no way a book will 100% get 5-star reviews all the time. You're gonna get 1-star reviews. You're gonna get some crazy people, right? Um, Obviously, you can learn from the feedback, improve. That's what you want to do, unless they're like completely, crazy. Um, but yeah, just accept that it's part of life, and then you just move forward with it.
Yeah. So I think this is just as relevant for anyone watching because we get reviews. Sometimes they're negative. How do we deal with that? And I think what Sean is mentioning here is not necessarily pivoting just because we get a negative comment or negative review or negative whatever, but rather looking at, okay, am I thinking that this would help someone? If it would help someone, if it would help myself, then I think it makes sense to keep going. And of course, sometimes the feedback is good, but changing the entire approach just because of one negative comment or one negative review, I think makes no sense.
Yeah, look at the ratio, of your reviews. Like if you're getting mostly negative reviews, then yeah, that's your fault. But if you're getting just one or two there, here and there, but you're mostly getting positive reviews, then it's probably those reviewers, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. What do you think about the future of KDP?
I think the future will shift towards social selling. So AI is obviously going to develop more, right? So there's going to be a lot of like, I think the cost of producing the book will get lower and lower and lower, um, which is cool. And I think we can capitalize on that for a long time until eventually, like, people talk about, oh, books are going away. Um, but you can argue the same thing about like videos, like YouTube videos. AI can write videos now. AI can literally make movies, I think, in the future, right? And then what's going to happen? Movies going to go away? The whole industry is going away? I don't know. It could happen, but at the moment it's not. And at the moment it's still very profitable doing KDP. And at the moment you're in this like sweet spot where you can capitalize on AI and then make a lot of money, right? So I feel like instead of finding reasons on why it doesn't work, you should do it. But the future of KDP, the way I see it is the cost of producing the book gets cheaper because of AI. And then the way you sell, like nowadays people are tuning out of paid ads. Amazon ads still definitely works, but I think more and more people trust what they see on social media. Like when other people recommend something, they trust that. So that's why TikTok selling, TikTok shop is, kind of going crazy nowadays, and that's how people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month from their books, which is insane. So I talk about it in my channel too a couple times recently, but there are people out there who literally, you know, use AI or just like literal like Canva elements and whip up a journal. Very simple to make. Like if people are watching this and they do low medium content books, um, they have experience, they would know how to make those books. And then they go on to TikTok shop and do social selling, and now they're up to like 100K a month. It's just crazy, and they blow up like insane. So I think the business model is kind of getting simpler because you just need a few books, um, and then you sell it that way with social selling. Simple doesn't mean easy, of course. So you still got to show up and consistently do the work. But yeah, that's trend wise. The trends that I see is you got to learn how to use AI, maybe start testing out social media marketing. Um, and then also in general, like, audiobooks are picking up compared to Kindle books. But paperback is having a comeback too. Like, again, journals are having a huge comeback, especially on TikTok. So who knows what's going to happen? But it's exciting though.
Yeah,
It's
it's very
exciting.
exciting.
Yeah.
And TikTok, you mentioned in your video, I believe you mentioned, what if Instagram does the same thing and other social media platforms? This could become a huge trend.
Yeah. So some people, when I talk about TikTok, they're like, "Oh, TikTok is banned in my country," or "What if the US bans TikTok?" Right? Well, people who are trained to watch short form content all day long, they're not gonna all of a sudden stop watching short form content. They're like, "Oh, I want to watch a 3 hour Mark Huberman podcast now." You know what I mean? Like they're gonna just stick to watching short form content. So, um, they're just gonna go to Instagram, they're just gonna go to YouTube Shorts, or maybe there's a new version of TikTok that's coming up, which they're talking about. So the audience is gonna be there, and you just go there, as a seller. So yeah, you gotta adapt, but the opportunity will always be there somewhere.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see in a couple of years how things have evolved. Do you have any favorite AI tools that you can recommend?
Mm. Personally, I just use ChatGPT, like $20 a month. Um, like before AI was, good at one thing, like ChatGPT was good for general thing, but Claude was really good for writing, and then Perplexity was for deep research and stuff like that, and Midjourney was for image. But now it's like ChatGPT is kind of absorbing all of that, and ChatGPT can do all of those things. So I think just $20 a month ChatGPT is enough for most tasks. Yeah. Yeah.
If you were to give one piece of advice for a beginner and then one piece of advice for an advanced publisher, what would that advice be?
For beginners, I feel like it'll be similar to what we've been talking about. Just show up every day, learn as much as you can, be consistent. It's not about the small things. I can say like, oh, do this strategically, but I feel like those are the things that matters less than really the bottom line of you just got to show up every day and take action. No matter what business you do, whether it's KDP, you just got to show up and consistently putting the work for like a year. Strategically, I would just do what I just said, learn AI as much as possible. Um, Make sure the demand is profitable and stuff like that. For advanced publisher, uh, for sure jump on TikTok stuff. Like I'm not just hyping it up over here for no reason. Like I see that. All right, so here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Have you tested out Calidata yet? The software? No?
Yeah.
Okay, it's crazy, man. So basically, if you look at like all the best sellers in terms of books on Amazon, Um, not every single one, of course, but then you go to Calidata, which is this research tool for TikTok Shop, and you start finding those books on Calidata and find out that they're doing TikTok Shop. And you realize that, oh, like most of the books that are bestsellers on Amazon are being pushed by TikTok, mainly TikTok Shop and all these like other people creating content for it. As an example, 2024, I think the bestseller was a shadow work journal. That blew up because of TikTok Shop, right? 2020, I'm sorry, I don't think it was 2024. I think it's 2023. In 2024, so last Q4, the number one bestseller was Hear Your Story, right? It's the journal. Both are journals, by the way. So I guess that's the secret is journals are popping right now. But hear your story, right? Also blew up because of TikTok Shop, you know? And then now we have like the Home Apothecary, whatever, you know, book going crazy, also backed by TikTok. Like pretty much a lot of the bestsellers you see now on Amazon, if you actually check Cal data, it's pushed by TikTok Shop. And that's why I say the trend is going that way. It's hard to compete with those guys when you're just running ads and they are just going viral on social media and running ads at the same time, right? They're doing both. So that's what I say.
I think that's an excellent advice, and it's something that we're discussing amongst each other. TikTok, and the thing about you're having TikTok Shop, you're getting profit on TikTok, but you're also getting spillover sales to Amazon.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge. There's a win-win on several fronts. You're also diversifying your income, and
Yeah.
it's very promising.
The big thing to understand though is it's a lot more work. So that's why I say only for advanced publisher, you know, is because now you got to figure out how to do TikTok Shop, hire a bunch of people. But yeah, if you can do it, if you're ready to scale, I think that's the fastest way.
Yeah. No, I think your advice for beginners also is excellent, to simply keep going. It's always hardest in the beginning. It's if you're going out running, it's just getting outside of the door. That's the biggest win you can make, because once you get going, you will most likely continue. So as a beginner, get those first sales in, get those first wins in, and then get around other publishers. That will also motivate you, because you see that, it's a little bit of a competition amongst each other, and it's a healthy competition.
Yeah.
And I think this has been an excellent interview. I'm very grateful that you did this interview, Sean, and that you shared every piece of wisdom that you've shared. So any final thoughts or anything as we wrap up?
No, I had fun with this interview. Everyone who's watching, Peter is legit. Peter's like the legend in the KDP space. Super cool guy in person. So yeah, they're at a good spot watching this channel, but it's been fun doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun. I don't need to say it. You know the channel, Sean Dolet. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right.